Hello everyone, welcome back. Ready for another chess puzzle deep dive.
Absolutely. Always up for a good brain teaser.
All right, let's jump into today's puzzle. We've got a pretty interesting position here.
Yeah, it looks like things could get spicy.
So for white, we've got, let's see, a rook on d7, knight on c5, pawn on e5, pawn on c4, pawn on f4, a pawn on g2, and the king sitting on h2.
Okay, got it. And for black?
Black has their king on e8, pawn on a6, another pawn on c6, pawn on e6, pawn on d5, and they've got a knight on d4, one more pawn on h4, and finally their rook's hanging out on a2.
A lot of pieces on the board still. Definitely getting to the later stages of a game, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. And things are, well, they're pretty cramped. For both sides, actually.
Sure, you got all those pawns kind of locked up in the center, but locked pawns don't always mean a quiet game.
Definitely not. Especially with that black knight just staring down white's knight on c5.
Oh yeah, that knight on d4. He's ready to make some trouble.
If black can maneuver that over to b3, it's a fork, attacking both white's rook on d7 and the pawn on c4.
Ouch. Yeah, that's not a good position for white to be in. So it seems like black's got to play knight to b3.
Right. Well, on the surface, yeah, it seems like the obvious move, but we got to think a few steps ahead here.
Right, of course.
So let's say black does move their knight to b3. White's probably going to capture that knight, right, with their own knight on c5. But then black's king can swoop in and take the spot on d7.
Oh, wow, yeah. Didn't see that at first. So black's king on d7, that puts pressure on white's c4 pawn a&d. It could open up a path for black's rook on a2 to join the party.
Exactly. It's a really clever sequence. Black sacrifices the knight, but in doing so, they gain control of the position.
Okay, so the solution is black plays knight d4 to b3. Then white, I guess they kind of have to capture, so knight c5 to b3. And then black swoops in with king e8 to d7.
You got it.
So the answer is black, knight d4 b3, white, knight c5 to b3, black, king e8 to d7. Three moves that completely changed the dynamic of this game.
Definitely. And it's not even a checkmate. It's more about those long-term advantages black gets.
Absolutely. At first glance, that knight d4 to b3 just looks like an attack, but it triggers this whole chain reaction. White captures, black's king steps in, and suddenly white's c4 pawn's hanging by a thread. Plus, black's rook on a2 has all sorts of potential now.
Yeah, but black went from being kind of stuck to having way more space and options.
Yep. That's the beauty of chess. Sometimes the quietest moves are the most powerful.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for breaking that down. That was a good one.
My pleasure. Always fun to dive into a tricky puzzle.
Thank you for listening.